Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
Welcome back, citizens, to an all-new episode of the Batcave podcast. It's your old bat chum, John S. Drew here, and it's been a while. It's been actually a couple of months since you've seen one of these. It's our return to Some Days You Just Can't Get Rid of a Bomb series of movies. And he's back. He didn't go away. We didn't scare him away with all the bad movies we've watched so far, and we haven't scared him away with this one from the Batman 1966-1969 Facebook page from his movie career that he's developed and is currently working on, Mr. Robert Long. Hey, Robert.
Holy missing in action, John.
Oh, wholly missing in action indeed. Yeah, these last few months have just been challenging for me. And I tell you, I thank you and Dan and Jim and oh my God, like so many others, Joe Stuber and Joe Crow and Kevin Eldridge. But yeah, getting back into this and trying to get back into a regular schedule of doing these again now that things have settled down. It's all been work related. And I appreciate everybody's patience, and those who've been writing and asking, is everything all right? I do appreciate it, and I thank you for it. Of course, you know, what do we do when we decide to come back? We're taking on the... How should we do this? There's no easy way of saying it. We're doing the adult film Batman XXX, and I know there's going to be some people who are going to be like, you shouldn't be doing this. Batman 66 is pure. That should never have been done as a movie and such. And we can argue the merits of that all we want, but it was done. And it was done in a way that if you actually watch it, and there is, as you mentioned the last time we talked, Robert, a clean version of this that runs about 31 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
If you watch it, you will see that out of all the Batman homages, this one actually really makes an effort to come faithfully to the movie and not just cash in on the name Batman. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say, although I am... I can't believe we're doing this, John, even though it was my suggestion. Wait. No.
Well, I'm going to give you, it's funny, too, because I'm going to give you a little backstory here, just really quick. In my younger days, I worked for the New York Public Library, and while I never went to get my master's in librarianship, I learned quite a bit in, library stewardship, so to speak. And eventually I lost my job because I was on a grant-funded project, and the funding ran out, and I was out of work.
Oh.
So I started looking for other jobs, and one listing that I had seen, it was in the, I think it was in the Village Voice, was for a video librarian. And I went and applied for the job, not knowing that the video librarian I would be working for, the video production company, was for, oh God, what was the name of it now? I can't even remember. It was one of these adult movie channels. The one with the lips. They had, in fact, the doors open. Because the thing is, like, when I got to the building, all I saw was the elevator. There were no signs saying, the name of the companies or anything. You had to know, I guess, what floor you were going to. I went up to the 7th floor. The doors opened. I saw the Giant Lips logo that they have. I saw they had a Giant Lips couch. And suddenly I realized I was applying for a job as the video librarian for this adult movie channel. And this was back in the days before Me Too or anything, because as you're walking through the office, there are TV screens dotted all over the place just showing adult movies as people are running around doing various secretarial and administrative and what have you work, and nobody seemed to be moved by it. It was really weird to see. And I'm the only one like overly dressed because I showed up in the full suit and everybody's all dressed down and everything. And the first question the guy asks me in the interview is, "Are you okay with working with adult material?" And I went, "Porno? Sure." And he looked at me so distastefully and he said, "We call it adult material." Like porno's a bad word.
Well, it's derogatory,
I guess it is. But I'm going to, and I say that story to put something else in perspective here as to why we're doing this. When I worked for New York Public Library, one of the jobs I had in this program was to be the spot checker for the microfiche. The library would buy books, and while they stored the books themselves, they would also create a microfiche in case the book was no longer available. They would have that to access. Mm-hmm. There was a gentleman who donated $1 million a year to the library as part of his will when he passed. And the stipulation was you would get the $1 million, but you had to take, and this was weird, $200 of it, go walking up and down Times Square to the kiosks, and we're talking back in the 80s, and find the dirtiest, raunchiest, nastiest adult material magazines you could find. And you had to preserve it. Because the library maintained that, we are a preservation unit. We preserve every bit of published material. And he said, "Prove it. I want you to preserve this adult material." So every year, little project, and it was my project. It was given to me. It was not given to any of the women who were also, the ones who had to make sure that the fiche was clear and the pictures were not, double image or reversed or anything like that. I had to go through for 2 weeks all the film that they would shoot of these adult materials, and it ran the gamut. It wasn't just straight adult material. It was everything. But
I can imagine. This is what, New York you're talking about?
Exactly, in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I put it to you out there that I maintain the same thing. As this being a series looking at every homage to Batman, this must fit the bill. Now, just as with the library, you can choose not to look at this material. There's plenty of other things to look at. The same thing with Batcave here. Not every episode is necessarily to everybody's liking. I mean, I know this is going to seem like apples and oranges, but not everybody maybe is interested in Monster Squad, so you don't listen to those episodes. This episode may not be for you. It is certainly, while we're going to try and keep it as friendly as possible, and we're not going to be talking about the actual scenes to any great extent.
We're not?
Oh, is that what you thought?
Oh, jeez. Look at the time, John. I gotta go. No. Fine, we'll keep it clean. Okay.
We'll keep it clean. And the funny thing is that when you consider Batman 66 had its fair share of sexual innuendo, some of the lines which actually worked its way into this movie.
It all fits really well together, folks. And as we were talking about a little earlier, the clean version is like PG-13. And because there's one F-bomb. But other than that, it plays like an episode.
Right.
If you're going to blame anybody, folks, blame me, because this was my suggestion, and I don't care if you blame me. I'm actually proud of just how deviant I am this morning. So,
well, as you'll see, and Robert, I'm sure you can bring a lot to this. We're going to be talking about the actual story and the scenes, which again, only 31 minutes long. But
it runs 119. What's the other? What takes up that other part, John?
Oh, God. And then the thing is, it's like the costume design, the fact that they actually have a replica Batmobile. It's pretty impressive what they managed to do and what they managed to avoid doing. And I don't mean that in the sex terms. I mean that in terms of certain Batman things we might expect, they managed to avoid it in a clever way, I thought. So what do you say we get into this, unless there's any other pre-production notes I'm missing here?
Not that I can think of. I mean, we can certainly bring stuff up as we come to it. So I'm ready, old chum.
All right. So as we said, the movie's called Batman XXX. It was a Vivid production from 2010, produced, written, and directed by Axel Braun. Now, Braun is known for many of his parody films of not just superheroes, but other shows as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think he even did actually the Bionic one that they made of not the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. I'd have to double check that, but
I believe he did, and the guy that played Batman played Steve Austin.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. And that man, by the way, Bruce Wayne, Batman, is Dale DeBone. All right. See, we're already off and running with this. Robin.
Let's be mature.
Yeah. Well, it's not so bad.
Okay.
It's not so bad after that until we get towards the end of the list again. Robin, Dick Grayson, played by James Dean, who is quite a well-known name in the adult films. I don't know how well-known he was back then, but he was because this is 9 years old.
Yeah, he was a known quantity back then. Obviously, he's done a lot more since then. Right. But so this isn't the one that died in the 50s.
No, and I always thought that was interesting that that's the name he took. I mean, obviously he changed the spelling, but that's his. I'm the rebel without a cause, or the rebel without a sex partner at the moment. I don't know.
Rebel without a clue. Yeah.
Next, we have Tori Black as Catwoman. Now, I seem to remember when this movie first came out years ago, she was particularly, and I'm not saying this is someone who follows adult films or anything. I just seem to remember there being a plethora of pictures on the internet of her in the outfit, because that was like the thing everybody was excited about was, wow, how she nailed the look of Catwoman.
I would say definitely in the face.
Yeah.
Especially when she's got the cat mask on, she looks a lot like Julie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not quite the same hourglass as Julie. I mean, nobody can do that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yes, yeah, and she's done mainstream as well as adult. So,
okay.
She's one of those on the fringe types.
Right. Right. Next, we have Lexi Bell as Barbara Gordon, not Catwoman, Batgirl.
Oh boy, do I have stuff to say about her performance.
So do I. Then we have Evan Stone as the Riddler, and I would say out of the entire cast, he's the only one that really puts an effort into trying to be like the 60s characters. There's one other person who comes close, but he really makes an effort.
Well, I would say he gives it really the good old college try, but I would have to say James Dean, for me, was the best.
See, he was second. What I liked was that Evan Stone also mimicked the movements, the way he would, especially in his opening scene when he dances around. I thought, yeah, he's trying. He's really trying. Where everybody else, James Dean definitely was good too, I thought. But and then of course we've got Randy Spears as the Joker, and I'm going to say it now. He missed the memo that he was doing Cesar Romero and not Jack Nicholson.
No, I mean, for all I know, he was trying to do Heath Ledger. So
he looked good though as the Joker.
He looked good, but it was like, oh my God, somebody else dub him.
Yeah.
Somebody give this guy some energy, some caffeine. Give him a Red Bull or something.
See, really, you thought he didn't have? I thought he had energy. I just thought he was channeling it all wrong.
I don't know if. Yeah, well, he was definitely channeling it all wrong. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like he was trying to talk with pop rocks in his mouth. It's like no.
Yeah. So the movie opens, and like a typical Batman episode, we start with the Bruce Wayne and Dick in the living room.
Gosh, Bruce. I'm stuck.
They made no effort with the living room. It's just a living room.
This game might be too advanced for a young boy, Bruce.
It's actually quite rudimentary, Lisa. All you have to do is think 16 moves ahead. That's all.
Well, I'll leave you two to your pastime. Tomorrow, my father is hosting that, fundraiser for the deaf children with the blind parents. The seamstress is coming to do my wardrobe.
Poor children. Destiny has been quite unfair to them, to say the least. But as long as they're fine individuals, such as your father, I'm sure they would never lose hope. So go along, dear. I'll see you for dinner.
What kind of got me, though, is that I was watching it again last night, and I thought maybe they just filmed at somebody's, like a producer's house or something, used his living room. But it does look like it's a set, so it was kind of like, why didn't they try to get a little closer to the living room set?
Right. I will say one thing I did like was that Bruce is sitting in a chair that when the way the chair is, it reminded me of Batman's origin story in the comics. It was a similar sort of chair when the Bat comes in and inspires him to become Batman.
Oh, yes, the high-backed, overstuffed chair.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know if that was done on purpose or what, but it worked. It was me reaching and saying, okay, here's a nice nod to the comics.
Yes. It's like, oh, they really did their research, and it's like, no, we just happen to have this back in props.
Right.
But they did get the 3D, 4D chess in there, which was kind of nice. Right.
And of course, Dick is stumped once again, having trouble playing the game. And then it gets really interesting. Lisa Carson walks in. You remember Lisa Carson from the King Tut episode of the second season. Bruce had rejected her by the end of the episode, save for our little bit at the end there where it looks like he might be getting sex of his own there at the very end when he goes in for milk and cookies.
It's been a lovely evening, Bruce.
Yes, I've had a wonderful time, too. It's just too bad our date had to be spread over 2 nights. But King Tut had other plans for you.
How is the poor deluded man?
I understand he's doing quite well. He's undergoing therapy to cure his ailment. When he's not functioning as King Tut, he's really quite normal.
All of us have alter egos we submerge.
True. So true.
Would you like to come in for a glass of milk and cookies?
I'm afraid it's rather late. Why, it's 10:30.
All right. Will you call me again?
I wonder if that would be wise, Lisa. You're a very beautiful woman, and you'd make some lucky man a marvelous wife. Unfortunately, I'm not that man. You see, the Wayne Foundation is my wife. You're just wasting your time with me.
I don't think it's wasting time, Bruce.
It's been very nice knowing you, Lisa.
Don't I get a goodbye kiss?
A kiss. Well, if you insist.
I do.
Milk and cookies, did you say?
I made the cookies myself.
Man cannot live by crime fighting alone.
Yeah, see, this is just a natural progression of that episode. It's right in line.
Mm-hmm. Now, we don't know it at the moment. We'll learn it later on in the story because she doesn't come right out and say it, or neither does he, that they're engaged. But it does come out later. But in watching this scene, it was odd because here's Lisa saying first, oh, this may be too much for Dick. And I'm like thinking, okay, she's offering her opinion on how Bruce raises Dick. Second, she points out the seamstress is coming there to fit her for a dress for a charity event that is happening that night. And I thought again, okay, she's living there?
Yeah, that would be a little bit strange considering the crime-fighting activities.
Right, exactly. Because as we see, she's still clueless about Batman and Bruce.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting only from a historical that Bruce Wayne, at least in the comics, was engaged in the very early years. But obviously, you know, the women didn't live under the same roof as he did.
Right, exactly. I will say, just based on this right now, the fashions, the hairstyles, all on point for 66. I thought they did a really nice job throughout the whole show.
Yeah, I would say pretty close. I definitely think that this is where the hole in the ozone layer came from. Yeah, we got some Aquanet action going on here, folks.
Yeah, probably more than we even saw in the 66 series.
Oh, that was lacquered on in this production. Yeah, it was shellacked. Right. Anyways,
now there's a great line. I laughed. It's totally tasteless. It's Batman 66 like. I mean, I will say it's a Batman 66 joke, but it's tasteless and it would never fly in the actual series. But yet it fits in when Lisa reminds Bruce of the charity and she says it's for deaf children with blind parents.
If they could have gotten away with it back then, I think they would have.
Right.
But no, that was because that's something I can see some of the writers going, "Oh, come on, this is so good," and it's like, no, we're going to get letters.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but it was funny. It was and it was funny because of the context it was in there, Batman 66, and I was like, yeah, that works.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Because it takes a second to go, hey, wait a minute, what? Oh.
So, you know, Lisa heads off and she's walking down one of the hallways in Wayne Manor and such, and the Riddler sneaks up behind her and he does this little, you know, tapping her on the shoulder, and he bounces around to the other side as she's looking back and forth. And see, that's where I say, like, even right there, he's making an effort, because that's the kind of frenetic, that was the word I was looking for, frenetic movement of Frank Gorshin.
Riddle me this, Miss Carson. What is the difference between you and Bruce Wayne's bank account? There is no difference. You both pique his interest.
You could tell he was into this and getting it.
Oh, Evan Stone. I mean, I've watched the behind the scenes of this. He was very, very much into this role. He took it very seriously. And like I will always say, he really gives it the old college try. Mm-hmm. It's just his delivery reminds me of another Riddler. So it's a strange amalgamation of Princes of Puzzlers.
Right. Yeah. But still, out of them all, I give him this one. And, of course, and this is cool, too, because he actually has a few riddles in, you know, this movie, and they're not bad.
Somebody was on the ball, and that would have to be Axel Braun, because he did write this.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the only thing I thought was interesting is because, like, he starts laughing manically, she starts screaming, and then she passes out. So it's easy for him to just carry her out of Wayne Manor. He didn't use a gas. He didn't use chloroform or anything like that, like we might see in the 66 series. It was just, I scared her to unconsciousness.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have cost a little extra to get a smoke bomb on set. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But now, did you notice? I'll put this out there because this is still fairly early. But I thought some of the sets were lit too dark.
They were. Oh, absolutely.
It's like she's going down the hallway of Wayne Manor, and it's like, what is this, a haunted house?
Well, if they're trying to evoke some of the other, Batmans of sorts, maybe that's what they were thinking. I don't know. But you're right. It also just may have been cheaper to keep it dark instead of putting in all the lighting.
Yeah, I've got to remember this is an adult parody, and they probably don't have as many Klieg lights as a regular production.
What did you think of the Riddler theme? Their version.
Okay, if we're going to talk music, I would have to say they did a really good job of getting as close without getting sued,
right,
as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was
impressed. I give him a lot of the music guy. His alias or whatever is just Mr. Bones, music by Mr. Bones.
Okay.
So whoever that is, he definitely listened to the music of the show and said, well, we can go this far, Axel, without going to court.
Right. Right. Well, I just thought it was because I'm like, they didn't have to do a Riddler theme. And if I remember correctly, later on, we don't get a Joker or Catwoman theme.
We don't, but all the incidental music that was used, it was very much spot on for what they could do.
Right. So, he carries her off. We get one quick last scene with Bruce and Dick still playing their game. Dick hears the cry of Lisa, but Bruce dismisses it, claiming, and here's the thing, this is one of the few sexual jokes in the non-sexual parts of this movie. And I to me, it was like, okay, I guess. He claims that Alfred is groping Aunt Harriet.
I thought that was funny. That got a laugh out of me.
I'm just glad they didn't show us anything.
Well, me too, because the guy who played Alfred is terrible.
Yeah, he was pretty bad. Well, speaking of terrible, then we get to Gordon's headquarters, and we are introduced to Gordon and O'Hara here, and my God, Gordon is just awful.
Yes, Commissioner.
Sorry to disturb you, Batman. We have an emergency. The Riddler's on the loose. He's kidnapped Bruce Wayne's girlfriend.
Surely you must be jesting.
Alas, I am not. We haven't time to lose.
We're in a way.
He looks the part. They got a good ringer for Neil Hamilton in Jack English, but yeesh.
Yeah, and I mean, if you kind of look at the guy who's playing O'Hara, he does look like O'Hara from certain angles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Jack English, I mean, I'll give him this. He took direction fine because he's supposed to be staring at his secretary, Bonnie, as she's leaving. So he did get that right.
Yep.
It's kind of like, yeah, did you check that out, O'Hara? Uh-huh. Know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hell, O'Hara, even with his really bad Irish accent, was better.
Oh, yeah. No, Jack sucked. I mean, I think it's mostly just the speed of him getting the lines out. He was definitely much older than Neil Hamilton was in the part. So I don't know if it was just having trouble memorizing lines or looking down at his script or what. But yeah, it wasn't fun.
No.
But The Office, as little as it was, it's like, okay, they kind of nailed it.
Yeah, they kind of do. You know what they nail better is the study.
Oh yeah. Well, we're getting to that, and again, they don't have a big budget for this, but I'm like, yeah, okay,
Yeah. So Gordon makes the call, and they take the call in the study, and as I say, even better. Right down to the wallpaper, which I was impressed with. But what's funny is that when they activate the Shakespeare head and the panel slides, and it does, they've got the sliding thing. Mm-hmm. They've even got the bat poles that they actually slide down, and we see them disappear. It's not even like they cut away or something. I thought it was funny because Bruce actually slides down, whereas Robin, James Dean, kind of climbs down. It's the reverse of what we saw in the series.
Oh, I don't know if you caught this right before that scene, but Alfred calls it the special phone.
Oh, the special phone, yes. Yeah.
It's like, what? He couldn't say bat phone or hotline or something? I mean, they called everything else by its proper name.
It's not like anybody was in the room.
Yeah, it's not like Lisa or Aunt Harriet was around.
Right.
Oh, it's that special phone again.
Oh. And did you notice also they didn't make any effort to run to the bat poles? I know it wasn't as far as, usually like in the scene, there was a bit of room for them to actually bolt to the bat poles in the TV show. But still, they kind of sauntered over to the bat poles.
Well, I have a theory about that. And it's basically, this was a little bit of a raised stage that they were, doing this on.
Right.
I'm sure that it was no more than maybe 3 to 4 feet off the ground. So as they went down, they're actually kneeling at the bottom to be out of sight on the bat poles. And it's not like a regular movie set where everything's more solid. So, they probably had to be careful not to make a lot of noise across the floor, and they had to be careful on the poles because the poles probably weren't all that secured in, like on the television show.
Yeah.
That's my thought on it. I mean, besides, we didn't have like the brick wall behind them. That was just like a blue space behind there. So.
Right. Yeah. Now, I gotta say, I did find this inspired the way they handled this, because we don't get the Batcave in the sense of the interior.
Yeah, that would have been a nightmare on their budget.
Yeah.
That would have been cardboard boxes up the wazoo.
No, but instead it's, down they go, and then it's a series of just, atomic batteries to power. They're in the Batmobile activating it already, and it's all close up, so we don't see any of the cave. We just see the dashboard of the car. Now, here's my question though. The Batmobile takes off. Is that Bronson Canyon?
That is absolutely Bronson Canyon. All that you saw there is Bronson. The exact same roads.
Wow. See, that's a nice touch. That is a really nice touch in it. And it takes away then from the fact that, we didn't see a Batcave, but it's like, but they're leaving the Batcave. And there's a Gotham City without the 14 miles note sign, but it's in the same text. And they're using an actual replica of the Batmobile.
Yeah, I think what they had to do is, I think they painted out the red bats on the doors because those are copyrighted.
Okay.
But, I mean, they did a good job of that. And that road, with the tree that they circle around and stuff, that's all the same from 50 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. Because I looked at it, even the shot kind of lines up of sorts with several of the departure scenes that they use, the stock footage.
Oh, yeah. And we actually get an inside the Batcave tunnel going out shot.
Which we didn't get too often.
We didn't get too often, and I do believe we had the road closed sign that went down.
Yes. Yep.
So, I mean, right there, I'm just going, okay, I'm sold. I'm on board.
Yeah. No, it was fun. It was fun. And, of course, this then leads to the opening credits, where it's, for the most part, mimicking the opening of the show, cartoon style. Of course, our Batman and Robin have their different logos on their chest and such, and we get more of the cast. So we see Catwoman, and Riddler and Joker as part of the whole lineup here. I thought it was funny, though, because the ending, when they're getting to the end, and then we see the line of girls, animated girls, and it just reminded me of like rejects from the movie Cool World.
Oh, yeah. I mean, number one, I give them a ton of credit for doing an animated opening like that.
Yeah.
Because that was a lot of work for somebody, in the art department. It's like, hey, we went to, I mean, the art style's a little bit different. I honestly prefer the 66 look, obviously much better.
Sure.
But yeah, and then you get all these love doll almost type girls at the end, perfectly proportioned and whatnot. And I'm like, Yeah, that isn't the lineup of crooks going after the duo.
Right. But it was fun, and the theme wasn't a bad approximation again, without getting too close.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for not being able to do Neil Hefti's theme, it had a very 66 Batman feel to it.
Yep, I agree.
So, I mean, I'm not going to, the guy doesn't want to get sued. I'm not going to fault him for that.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't want to get sued, but he does everything in such a way that it's like, he's dancing that line. And I know this is going to sound odd. To me, this is not cashing in on Batman like all the other movies we've seen, but rather, with tongue firmly in cheek, he's having fun with it.
Well, tongue firmly somewhere. But no, this is Axel Braun is a avid 66 Batman fan, so this is very much a love letter to the show.
Right. Because again, it's like this, we've been talking here now almost 20 minutes straight about the opening, and we've talked more about the opening than the actual opening is. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the actual opening's only 5 minutes, folks, and here we've talked 4 times as far. But in fairness, though, we have to talk about this production value because it's there.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, we can't talk about the such and such acts. Well, I'm going to. If John cuts me off, that's on him. I'm going to talk about them. So, I mean, what's left? Well, the production values, the acting, the costumes, the props and stuff, and this is what we're going to focus on.
Right. Exactly. Now we come out of the credits and we see that Lisa is in a jail cell, and she's offering Riddler any amount of money for ransom for her release. She's confident her father will pay it, but Riddler says he isn't interested in ransom. She's the bait for a trap for Batman, and that's what he wants. And even, offers another riddle about mouses and cheese and stuff. And it was cool. And like I said, like looking at him here, he stands out to me the way, and I know this is going to sound maybe sacrilegious to some, the way Frank Gorshin stood out all those years ago in the first episode.
Okay, now you're going to have to hold your horses there, John. Gorshin has nothing on Nora Clavicle. It's right there.
Oh, I thought you were going to call me on on comparing him to Frank.
No. I mean, Evan Stone is definitely pouring his heart out to do the best Gorshin that he can. Right. Which, let's face it, Frank was Frank. That's why he was so beloved, is because he was unique. And if I haven't said it before already, Evan Stone has got basically the look of Frank.
Yes.
The costume is superb.
Yep.
Costume's superb. But he's mixing a little bit of the Filmation Ted Knight's Riddler into this.
Yeah, he is.
Because he's like this and it's like, oh my God, this is Ted Knight.
Yeah. I know. Well, since she's not going anywhere until Batman shows up, Lisa at least tries to negotiate for a better resting place, a better bed, because she's like, this jail cell cot is not very comfortable. And Riddler is willing to negotiate as things start up, so to speak.
The Riddler says, okay, sure, and he pulls out some vegetable oil. The Riddler's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I've got it. I'm going to put on a ballerina tutu. So it just goes on and on from there, and the clock just spins like crazy. It ends with bagpipes playing.
Oh, my God. This is the funny thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being naive. Maybe I've never paid attention. I'm not going to say I'm a prude and I've never watched an adult film. But 5 minutes of story, 24 minutes of vegetable oil.
Hey, they're cooking with Crisco.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's why I don't mind watching the non-sex version, because it's like, oh, okay, at least I get all the story here.
Yeah. And you know what the sad part is? After all that, we never find out if she gets a better bed.
Well, she's going to have to get one without all the cooking grease on
Right,
it.
exactly. So getting back to the story here.
Commissioner, Chief, how is Miss Carson? That cowardly puzzler. He better not harm a hair on her head.
I take it you and Bruce Wayne are acquainted.
Yes, Mr. Wayne has graced me with his friendship, and we've had meaningful conversations from time to time, but please, the stipulations on the ransom.
Well, Batman, here's the thing. There is no ransom request.
No ransom? That's unprecedented.
I think I might know what it is he's after. He wants us to come find him. What a dastardly twisted plot.
But Batman, that sounds like a trap.
Precisely, Robin, which is why we now have an advantage. I say we play along, but cautiously. I think I may have some information on the whereabouts of the Riddler. Quick, Robin, we haven't a moment to lose.
I will say this much. Looking at his Batman, he's a better Batman than he is a Bruce Wayne. DeBone.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, I wish he'd studied Adam's mannerisms a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because you can tell that James Dean really studied Burt Ward. I mean, he's got the mannerisms, he's got the voice. You know, he's put, socking his fist into his other hand.
Yeah.
And, it's like, DeBone's just like, well, what, a little William Shatner, is that going to be enough? That okay? It's like, no, you got to try a little harder than that, Dale.
Yeah.
If that's your real name.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But during this scene, this is when Jack English his mind is wandering all over the place when they first jump in. It's like, what? Where's my lines? I mean, you almost see him looking for his script on his desk because he it's like, yes, Commissioner, and it's like, okay, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Oh, hi, Cape Crusader.
Yeah. And Batman wants to follow up on an idea he has on how to find Riddler. He never elaborates, but it turns out it's to go to a discotheque. What it does lead is to one of the most inspired scenes in the entire movie. Sadly inspired, and then sadly also a wasted opportunity, because Batman and Robin climb the wall of the discotheque. We get a wall climbing scene, and we get a window cameo, and it is Ron Jeremy as himself.
Holy glutinous maximus, Batman. This back climb is sure hard on the buttocks.
Careful, Robin. Both hands on the bat rope.
Sorry, Batman.
Batman and Robin, what are you guys doing?
Holy hedgehog, Batman. Who is this?
Robin, this is Ron Jeremy. Without a doubt, the hardest working man in show business. Women seem to find him strangely irresistible.
Hey guys, why don't you take a break? Come have some fun inside. Can't handle all these girls by myself.
I've got 2 free hands.
Very tempting, but no thanks. Our pursuit of justice allows us very few diversions. But, by all means, carry on with your business, citizen.
Gosh, Batman. That Ron Jeremy sure has excellent taste in girls.
That single statement indicates to me the first oncoming thrust of manhood, old chum. Wait for me on the roof. I'm gonna go inside. 2 masked crime fighters walking into a discotheque could draw some unwanted attention.
I thought, it was fairly well done. This is shot a lot tighter, folks, than it was on the show.
Yeah.
I can only think it's because their set wasn't that big, but it was still fun to watch them. You know, they're having their banter as they're climbing up the side, and it's a little bit racier than it would have been on the on the show. And then the windowless windows open, and it's Ron and one of his party girls.
And one of his party girls. Now, I got to say, inspired, really great, but there was a missed opportunity because why didn't they, and I guess maybe because of the way the story worked out, why wasn't he Penguin?
Probably because he wouldn't shave his mustache.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, I mean, that's what makes Ron Jeremy, is, you know, he's not going to shave off the mustache.
Yeah.
But yes, that's what was missing in this episode was the Penguin. So we would have had the fearsome foursome, so to speak.
Right.
But I do like what Robin said when he first noticed him, though. Holy hedgehog!
I think I've heard some people refer to him as that. So I think that was definitely an in-joke for those who know the business. And I say this as not someone who knows the business. Don't get any ideas. I just went on the interview.
Wink.
I didn't get the job. I just went on the interview.
Yeah, didn't get the job. 5 years later, oh, we're going to miss you, John.
As I'm walking out, like with my jacket mysteriously very bulky.
Hey, there's a bunch of toys and videos missing. What's going on?
Oh, my God. Now...
yes.
Yeah. Now, this leads to probably the biggest homage, I mean, even more so than the Batmobile leaving, because Batman decides he's going to go into the discotheque alone, and he leaves Robin outside, and basically, with the exceptions of some dialogue, it is beat for beat almost the exact same discotheque scene from What a Way to Go-Go in the first episode.
Oh my God, it's Batman!
A large grapefruit juice, please.
Yes, sir.
Are you looking for a friend?
I believe you could say that.
I have a question. How is a squabble like a bargain?
Very well. It's because it takes two to make it.
Like beautiful music? Shall we?
What is your name?
Molly.
Here you go, Batman. Freshly squeezed. Thank you. You entice me. I accept your invitation to dance.
We even get Molly.
Alexis, Texas. That's a real name.
That's a real name.
It's funny because they got a lot of women there dancing in the background. They're probably thinking, "Oh, this is one of the few times I don't have to take my clothes off." Unfortunately, the acting is nowhere near as good as it was in the actual pilot episode.
No.
Shake a pretty mean tape, Batman.
It's nothing. It's
spiked.
That's right, Batman. Your drink is spiked. The drug, scopolamine, it's gonna make you lose all of your willpower. And the funny thing is you're gonna follow me back to where the Riddler has that dumb heiress.
Although they do, in the music is actually somewhat similar to that scene in the show. So
the music is similar. I will give DeBone credit for trying to attempt the Batusi.
Oh God! Attempt is a good word. Yes.
Yeah.
He's not there for his acting chops, folks. If I remember right, just like in the show, his drink was spiked.
His drink is spiked, but it's a different outcome this time. Rather than everybody running out and Molly and such, and him being like just drunk, it puts him under Molly's spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and she's bad-mouthing Lisa Carson during that time, too.
Yes, she is. Which is again something else they never pick up on. It's like, why did you even bother with that? What's that got to do with anything? Unless this is some sort of inside joke between the two actresses. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, but yeah, it's just like, what's Bruce Wayne seeing her? She's not even all that attractive.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I got you here. We're going to have some fun. And I don't even know where he takes her to, or she takes him.
She takes him into the corner right there in the club. They do it right there in the club.
Yeah.
I had to rewind it a couple of times because I'm like, did I miss something? Like she led him to another room? No. She takes him into a corner table, chair, and right there. But oddly enough, it's like all of a sudden the background music changes. The sounds of the dancers are all gone. And it's almost like the two of them are alone.
I mean, she just gets to undressing him with her eyes. Just the fact that the couch pulls out to be a trampoline. So I'm like, what kind of gymnastics are we going to get here, John? And I got to tell you, this is something right out of Scooby-Doo. I just sat there watching this going zoinks for the full 5 minutes.
Hang on. I got to correct you on one thing. It was 5 minutes of story leading to 23 minutes of zoinks.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Batman may have been Cape Crusader may have been a little quick on the draw this time.
Batman is taken away. Robin returns back to Gordon's office to report that Batman's taken. Now, Gordon happens to be on the phone at that moment with Barbara. She overhears the whole thing, so she heads over. And again, nice little touch. She didn't have to do this because, budget. But there's the rollaway changing, room for Batgirl with the costume hanging just like we saw in the TV show.
That's right. Yeah, they've got the rotating wall. It's got the same type of stripes that was in her bedroom, so to speak.
Yep.
Barbara's the great grandchild of James Gordon, or what's going on here?
I wasn't focusing on that as much as I was on, I didn't, it was weird. I didn't pay as much attention when she was Barbara because, okay, she's affecting this voice. She's a little maybe chirpy and stuff. Okay, I get it. And then when she shows up at headquarters as Batgirl and bounds in.
Looks like you boys can use some help.
Batgirl.
For heaven's sakes, Batgirl, we sure do need all the help we can get right now.
Commissioner, I believe I have an idea. If you want to catch a criminal, the best person to ask is...
Another criminal.
That's right, Robin. And I think I know where to find one. Follow me.
And with the arms, akimbo and all that stuff. And she smiles and then she speaks. And I was like, oh my God, she sounds like one of Tara Strong's cartoon characters.
Well, I mean, I've said this before to my friends. I mean, we've watched this or whatever. It's like she reminds me of Bugs Bunny as Batgirl.
Wow. I mean,
the voice. It's like, what's that, Cape Crusaders?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Tara Strong. She could be like Timmy from the Fairly Odd Parents.
And it's just so aggravating because I'll say this: she's nice to look at.
Oh yeah, she looks great in the costume.
But yeah, I just want to mute the sound. And As Barbara, she's got a beehive. It's like, what? She's a member of the B-52s, the singing group.
No, that beehive went way too high. They went overboard on that one with her. But again, the costume, the dress she was wearing was fine.
Yeah. It's just, oh God, I think the reason why she was cast is she was hot at the time as far as a performer is concerned, because it sure as heck was not for the acting, because that was just ear bleeding.
Let's be honest. We're only getting into the age at this point where acting means something in these films. In the early 2010s. By then, they're finally starting to. I think. Again, I say all this as someone who doesn't know the business. I'm making comments, and I could be very ignorant.
Well, I've got the rest of your shipment coming later, John. Shh, wait, you're not supposed to say that on air, Rob. Shut up. No. But on the other hand, I got to say this: most of these type of, this type of product, which obviously you can find all over the internet, doesn't have any acting whatsoever in it, any story, any plot, any whatever. So right. I do have to give them kudos for trying to have a storyline.
Right. Oh, yeah, no, I give them credit. And frankly, I think this is the funniest bit is Batgirl says the best way to catch a criminal is to ask another. So let's go find another criminal. And so she and Robin run off.
Now, it's some of the connecting stuff, like, it's like, I think I know where to find the criminals, Robin. Let's go to this discotheque. Like you said earlier, we have no idea where the hell this came from.
Right.
There was no, I think you've got it, old chum.
Yeah.
Any of that. And so it's the same thing with the Batgirl thing, and they're climbing up the exact same red brick wall.
Yes.
So are they going back to the discotheque? Are they going one floor above where the criminals are? What's going on?
Now, I got to say, I was happy, though, to see, because we never got that in the third season. We never saw Batgirl doing a bat climb.
This whole scene was actually funny, and I don't know. I mean, I guess one could describe it because it's only said with words. It's not done with actions.
Right.
But some of the dialogue between the two of them is hilarious.
Well, of course, you got to work in the whole, because she at one point sort of falls into Robin on the wall and says, "Is that a batarang in your pocket?"
Are you just happy to see me?
Right, of course. Now, this gets interesting because at first it seems like this is just Riddler's scheme, but then we see Joker and Catwoman, and this is overall Joker's plan from the sounds of it, and that Riddler's just doing his part.
The Riddler will be arriving soon with the masked fool and the silly heiress. It seems that my master plan is working like a charm. I will get rid of Batman and Robin for good.
Holy conspiracy!
Me, the Joker, king of all super criminals. Gotham first, I think. Then the world.
Curb your tongue, funny man. You and I, we have a deal.
But of course, my feline friend, you can have your way with the dynamic duo. Just before I destroy them.
This is where, like I said, if you listen to Randy Spears and the way he's talking, he totally misses the point that he's Cesar Romero's Joker. He's I want to do Nicholson. I look like Romero. It's great makeup job. I mean, like you said, he even grew in the mustache and everything. But, dude, you make no effort, not in the laugh, not in the... I think there's a brief moment where he hoo-hoos a little bit, but nothing in this delivery in any way evokes and makes you feel like you're looking at Cesar Romero.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have the manic joy that that Cesar brought to it.
Right.
Yeah, he's just far more sinister, and I also don't think that the lighting on this set did him any favors because he looks blue because there's hardly any light on him. So it's like, what, is this taking place underwater? What's going on here? But yeah, the costume on him looks great. Makeup on him looks great. Terrible performance.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Spears, you didn't spear it.
No.
So,
yeah.
And this is all. Yeah, we also see Tori Black as the Catwoman, and again, costume-wise and face and hair-wise, looks very much like Julie. So, you know, I mean, great job there. And what the hell was with the statue off to the far right in this place?
I didn't catch it.
Yeah, they got like some, 17th century or 18th century statue, full-size statue in this hideout, which also looks like it's part of Captain Nemo's Nautilus in some parts. I got to figure it was just whatever the hell we've got lying around, put it together.
Right. I didn't, I didn't catch it, but you never know. Like you say, it just could have been it's something, and it adds more visualness to the scene.
I guess. And, I got to remember they only had like $5 to put this together. So it's, Aunt Martha, can we take your garden gnome in for this this scene?
Right.
But isn't there a little back and forth going on between the Catwoman and the Joker? And the Joker's getting a little frisky, which was a little weird.
He was getting a little frisky, but he also was getting, and again, this comes to, sometimes I think they don't listen to each other because she's all about having the two of them for whatever she wants them for. He's all about, let's kill them and then I can take over Gotham and then the world. And she doesn't even hear him, and he blatantly says it. There's more than one way to skin a Catwoman. And then she just walks off. And I'm like, that was a threat.
The dialogue is not the best part of this show. And it's like, these people are two different time zones when they're talking to each other because they're not getting it. They're not really talking to each other.
Right.
I'm not sure how he was supposed to take over the world because I didn't see a surfboard anyplace.
Yeah. The dialogue only works when he's actually lifting the dialogue from the 66 series.
Yeah. The Joker was thinking about getting a little action with Catwoman. She puts him in his place. I think that's the only time that they actually talk to each other.
Right.
There's more than one ways to skin a Catwoman. Yeah, that sounds like Caesar.
Yeah. Right. And he wasn't even doing it like that. He didn't even deliver the line like that, let me tell you.
Yeah, it wasn't even that good, folks.
Yeah.
It was mumble mouth. No, to buy this. Oh, and by the way, creeping along within the second room, spying in, the Dynamite duo.
Yeah.
Have gotten inside the place.
Right. Exactly. They're watching this as it unfolds and stuff. Catwoman leaves, and Joker, is all frustrated because I guess his attempts at seducing Catwoman in his own weird way didn't work. So the two girls that are there offer to give him a massage.
First of all, the Joker breaks out his grease paint kit. So he picks up a ruby red, and he goes over to one of the girls, and he starts singing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then he runs out of space. So he goes over to the other girl, And he goes, okay, we're going to learn about our numbers. And let's see, 36, 24, 35. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! And it gets in his green hair, and he's rather put out about that. And while this is all going on, the Dynamite duo is checking this out, and Robin's going, shield your eyes, Batgirl.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they become inspired by Joker's grease paint.
Yeah. It's like, well, why? What are you going to do? Show me why they call you the Boy Wonder?
Oh.
And his best Burt War, he's like, well, gosh, Batgirl, when you put it that way.
When you put it that, I know that was really good. That was really good. So what happened there?
They leave for a few minutes and go back down to the Batmobile, where, after pressing one button, or perhaps two, a waterbed comes out of the back of the Batmobile. But it's full of helium. And as we both know, that's not going to work worth a damn. But anyway, so they get out of Parcheesi set and they start playing the game on this waterbed. You know, the Joker and his malls look out and go, what the hell's going on down there? And going, oh yeah, we've got to get back to what's going on. So they climb back up and they have a couple of sandwiches. Then they get caught with their clothes off.
Yeah, they get caught. I thought that was interesting too. Catwoman's men come in and catch them in the act.
But they were Catwoman's men. They were actually dressed like Catwoman's men.
Yes. Another nice touch that doesn't really have a payoff in the next scene.
It's so, you know, they had those stupid ascots and stupid weird ass ear muffed hats.
Yep.
I don't even know how the hell you make one of those. Well, I've got a little bit of trivia about the henchmen a little bit later, and there's a reason why a scene that should have been much longer is very truncated.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
But yes, they get grabbed.
Yeah, they get grabbed. After we deal with only 5 minutes of story and 27 minutes of grease paint.
Well, Parcheesi on this particular. Yeah.
27 minutes.
You know.
Oh.
And it wasn't all Parcheesi. I mean, some of it was Go Fish.
Yeah, right.
But they at least give them the decency to cover up their modesty by letting them get dressed before they get tied up.
In full uniform, yeah.
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 So I guess we're back to the main villain's room.
Right. And Riddler has arrived with Lisa and Batman tied up. Catwoman arrives with Robin and Batgirl tied up. And, you know, we get a little bit of line reading from one of the Catwoman episodes. I couldn't remember which one it was, as she and Batman sort of parry words with each other.
Tisk, tisk, and another tisk. Batman.
You witch!
Oh. What? With all your travels, still haven't learned good manners? A real gentleman would kiss a lady's paw.
You are no lady. In fact, you...
Hush! Batman. I cannot tolerate a man with no breeding.
It was the second episode of Catwoman from season 2.
Okay.
Where with the violin and the museum and the rocket thing and the elevator and stuff. It was that particular episode.
Oh, okay, because that's interesting, because they also do work in later on.
You won't get away with this so easy. Easily.
Good grammar is very essential, Robin.
Thank you, Batman.
You're very welcome.
That's from the same episode.
That's from the same episode, yes.
Yeah. Nicely done. Now, did you catch Joker's very funny ray gun that he was going to use on Batman?
Oh dear God. Yeah. So they've got this banter going back and forth, like John said, this was very much from the dialogue from a couple of the episodes. And the Joker apparently has really, really advanced technology, John.
Yes.
What's he using?
He's using an original Star Trek series phaser, or as the kids would say, I think it's a phaser type 2, because I think the phaser type 1 was the Palm one. So this is a phaser type 2 for you real Trek fans out there.
Yes. Those of you that must get the terminology correct. Yeah, so he pulls this phaser, and I understand, Axel Braun had it lying around because he also does the Star Trek porn parodies or adult parodies. So, it's like, well, we can get away with this.
Right.
And he's going to do away with them all, which Catwoman's not really up for.
No.
And Riddler's like, hey, wait, we can get money off of Lisa Carson. Why should we kill her?
Right. Yeah. And that leads to Catwoman. And it's interesting because this is the original dialogue. This isn't from the TV show. She vamps it up a little bit around Batman as she manages to cut them free.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is so true. And I mean, at this point, the Joker's attention is more pointing at Robin because he hates that little bastard and he wants to kill him first.
And that's not the word he used.
No, that's the one F-bomb.
In the whole thing, that's the one F-bomb.
Yeah, considering the subject matter and stuff, yeah, I think that's the only time they use that word.
Yeah. Yeah, which is pretty impressive.
Well, they're keeping it wholesome for the whole family.
I guess. I guess also because it really then had a nice shock value when he actually calls him a little, effer.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
It's he definitely doesn't like Robin.
Right.
And then what happens is one of our favorite scenes of any Batman episode, John.
Yep.
And what would that be?
That's the bat fight breaking out.
Riddle me this.
It's brief, but it's also funny. The only thing I was a little disappointed was that it was shot like a third season bat fight in the sense of we're going to keep it wide. We're not doing too many close-ups. I don't even think they did any close-ups.
Holy glass job, Batman.
Yeah, and the background behind this is that, number one, Evan Stone, the Riddler, was the fight choreographer on this. And what sucked is that they didn't have enough people for the bat fight. They were supposed to have more henchmen to come in. And so they had to cut this to like a quarter of the time that they were going to do this because they didn't have enough people.
Right.
They even had to knock Robin out.
Yeah.
Because
so that's why. Okay.
Yeah, because there wasn't enough people
to hit
for the fight. Because they had two henchmen, the Catwoman's henchmen, and they had the Joker and the Riddler, and you've got three superheroes. That's not going to take long,
right?
To end that fight.
Well, to be fair, that's not going to take long in real parlance, but Batman 66 managed to sometimes make it stretch out. He could give a solid punch, and within seconds, that person was back up on their feet, ready for more pounding.
True, but also on the show, they also had the mystery henchmen show up,
right?
And they didn't have the reserves come in on this one, so it was like, oh well, we're just going to do what we can do.
Right.
But at least they had the properly superimposed wordage and stuff instead of just the flash cuts.
Yes, that was a nice touch. And Batgirl throws a punch.
Now, who did she take on? Was it the Joker or the Riddler? I can't remember.
It might have been the Riddler because Joker was further away from her. I can't remember, but I was shocked when I saw her do like what looked like almost like a roundhouse punch. And I was like, wow, okay. She's getting her punch in.
Yeah, I mean, we all wanted to see that on the show.
Yeah.
It's like, don't give me this ballerina crap. Let's see her actually land a couple of slugs on somebody.
Well, here's the thing, though, and I'm going to put this out there for all Bat fans out there, that we actually did have Batgirl punch someone in the 3rd season. We just never saw it because there's the Cassandra episode when Batman turns out the lights on the invisible villains and all we see is bam, pow, sock. And somebody had to have hit Catwoman at some point because she's lying. It's not, oh, let's grab Catwoman and lead her away. She was among the knocked out bodies. So somebody hit her. Somebody punched her. Somebody kicked her. And I'm going to say that in the dark, Yvonne went and punched somebody. That's my take.
I'm going to say that was probably Burt Ward.
Oh.
Holy frustration! So it's a short bat fight, and it's typical 3rd season. It's like, well, Batgirl, go ahead and take these two away. We're going to have words with the Catwoman.
Right. I thought that was funny. It's like, here, Batgirl, take the men away. And so she leads off all the men by, not, hey, Robin, go with her because it's one girl and all these guys. No. Robin's staying with me.
Yeah, 110-pound girl leading off 4 180-pound guys.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to end well.
Yeah. That's the next movie.
Yeah, that was the next episode.
Oh, God. And here's the thing. It dances this line because, hey, Catwoman has to be brought to justice. But she did free us. We owe her something. What do we owe her?
Catwoman is basically presenting herself like any cat would by shaking her tail. And the dynamic duo decide, hey, do we have anything special in our utility belt? What got me is that they started incorporating tennis rackets. And I'm like, what? Robin trips on his own cape. It actually hasn't. Batman's capes get tied together, so they're unfortunately strangling each other while they're trying to get to the Catwoman. And they all just end up chummy and singing camp songs.
5 minutes of story, including the bat fight. 24 minutes of camp songs.
Well, 26 minutes. There was 2 guys.
Oh, that's true.
I'm not going to say what I was thinking. It was just there were some missed opportunities in that scene.
Well, it's time to take Catwoman to prison.
Well, you know what they say. Cats have 9 lives. Well, I hope bats have at least 2.
Can this be it for the dynamic duo? Learn the agonizing answer. Don't miss the next episode. Same Bat XXX time. Same Bat XXX channel.
So it's just enough time for Catwoman to head over to a switch, push a button there. I mean, not a switch, but push a button that wasn't really a button. It looked more like a bolt, but hey, it's a button. And drop a net on the 2 of them as gas fills the room. And the announcer tells us to stay tuned for the next episode, which never happened.
Which is unfortunate because I would have loved to have seen an entire series of these just continue on. Yeah, I love how she's just pushing like a random, rivet.
Right.
Like it's supposed to be a button. It's like, oh, come on.
Exactly.
And then we get the movie ending.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Like I said, Axel Braun, he's a true fan.
Yeah.
And, you can just tell. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. No. He didn't have all the money in the world, but there was a lot of love and care, as much as could be for a production like this, behind this presentation.
Right. Now, I got to ask, the 30-minute version without the sex scenes. Is that available to watch anywhere?
I don't know. I mean, I own the DVD, and not to sound controversial, folks, but if you are a dyed-in-the-wool fan of the 66 Batman, it wouldn't hurt to get this because there is the non-sex version. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes footage, which brings up a lot of cool stuff, and you see how they shot it and stuff. This was actually a marathon shoot. This was done like within 24 to 48 hours.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but you can actually see James Dean's 5 o'clock shadow start coming in some scenes. Because they did it all in just like 2 days. And then there's also some of the, what do they call them? Audition tapes.
Right.
So I don't know if it's available to see anywhere else, but I would encourage people that want to see a love letter, no matter what the genre of it is, to the show, because it's done with a lot of care.
It is. I mean, the final take. Let's do our takeaway from this. This or Nora Clavicle, which would you watch?
Oh, you
again?
gotta be kidding me! I'd watch this 100 times over Nora Clavicle. This puts a smile on my face. This is a fan film done right.
Yeah.
It's not perfect by any means, but it's better than what I could pull together. And they get Bronson Canyon, they get the bat twirls, they get decent costumes. They got the bat climb, for Pete's sakes.
Right. They got a window cameo.
Now, a window cameo. They got the revolving room for Barbara. They got the bookcase for Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
And, they used one of those William Shakespeare busts. There's a lot to love about this.
Yeah. I mean, would I watch it again? Myself personally? Probably not. Just, and again, I'm not trying to sound like a prude.
What about the short version?
If I had my, well, yeah, okay. If there was the short version, I would probably watch that again, just because I can appreciate all the effort he put into, making the, because it very easily, and I will say, I have seen other Batman parodies. I have seen other parodies of TV shows done in adult style, and clearly they just thought they could make a few dumb jokes and poke fun at the material a little bit, and then let's all have sex. This didn't do that. This didn't do that at all.
I mean, just the mere fact that they did the "What a Way to Go" scene, and that's a 2-story set they built.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I have a real appreciation for this out, and I'll tell you, folks, I only really watched the 30-minute one because all the other stuff that's involved, it's what you expect. If there's nothing all that outrageous or bizarre involved.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, you can cut all that out and just give me the story.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I would watch this again over Nora Clavicle. That's just me.
I would say the same thing. I mean, Nora Clavicle is just way too painful. And we've had way too painful movie homages to Batman that we've said Nora Clavicle we'd watch over it, but this isn't one. I would come back to this if I have to. I definitely would. And like you said, yeah, the half-hour version I would definitely watch.
Now this or the Wild Wild World of Batwoman.
See, no, this before Wild Wild World of Batwoman. Now, this before Batwoman, Mexican Batwoman, I'm telling you, like, I still, to this day, since I brought it up ages ago, want a modern take on Mexican Batwoman. I want that done. Somebody has to do a 2020 version of Mexican Batwoman. I think it would be phenomenal.
I have to admit there was a lot that they did very well in the 68 Batwoman, even though I couldn't understand a damn thing that they were saying.
Right.
You know, why can't they just speak American there, John? Jeez.
Oh, I loved it. I loved every moment. I actually went and watched it again a few months afterwards because I just was like, Batwoman. It's so fun. It's so much fun. Now, there you go, Axel Braun. How about that? No, never mind.
Oh, God. Yeah, Lexi Bell as Batwoman.
Oh, my God. More like Tory. More like Tory Black, if anything, because she was dark-haired. Although I'm sure Lexi Bell could change her hair.
Oh, yeah. Or just get somebody with some acting ability, for Pete's sakes.
Right.
And it doesn't sound like they're sucking on helium.
Right.
So, hey, look, it's Bugs Bunny in drag.
Wow.
Don't
hold back. You didn't like her.
What?
I said, don't hold back. You didn't like her.
She has a great look. I mean, she's a very attractive woman, and she looked great in the suit. But it's just fingernails on chalkboard whenever she spoke.
Right.
You know, it's like Quint doing that scene from Jaws. You know.
Right. Do you have any clue where they got the replica from of the Batmobile?
No. They say
was it a Mark Raycop one?
I don't know. It was a very good one.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure it was a Mark Raycop. But there's been so many people that have had ones made. I hate to say it, but there's probably hundreds of Batmobiles out there now. But the one that they used was a good one.
Yeah, it
had a really nice look to it. It wasn't perfect, but it was close.
Right.
You know, just the fact that they went up to Bronson and shot it scene for scene again. You know, I wish that they had used it more, but maybe they couldn't afford it. It's like, oh, what? You want to go on the Warner lot, the New York lot for what?
Yeah.
And this is going to appear in what?
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, I had fun with it, and I especially have fun with the non-sex version of it, except for Randy Spears, who was terrible.
Right. Thank God we didn't get Aunt Harriet in this.
Well, we got mention of her.
Mention, but that's fine. Just I don't need my Madge Blake being soiled.
Holy Viagra!
I know. God. Okay, so as we come to the end of this episode, Robert, it's been a while. What's happening over on the Facebook group?
Oh, let's see. Well, we're coming up to a new year, John, and so I may start allowing people back on. I needed to take a break for a while, folks. The reason being is that I did a tremendously big move, and I also did a job change. So I needed to focus on that. I have been posting a little bit here and there, but hope to get back into being involved with the group again on a more regular basis for 2020. And getting some more folks in there to enjoy everything that we do.
So you and I have both been pretty busy in many respects.
2019 was a busy year. It wasn't a great year in a lot of respects, but it was a year of change, or it was a year of, you got to focus on real life. And sometimes, some of the fun stuff has to go on the wayside. I mean, I'm not going to give away any surprises here, but John had a fun project for a few of us to do.
Yes.
Which will unfortunately have to be next year, I'm guessing.
I've actually started mapping out how I want to handle this so that I can plan it better. And I still want to do it for a release around the holidays because I think it would make a great gift to the fans.
Well, John, it's been an absolute pleasure to get back into doing this, and I had a lot of fun today.
I did too. And I think as a way of, for some of you, a palate cleanser, or just as a way of swinging the pendulum the other way, and let's go as wholesome and as cute and as fun as possible. We've been talking about this. How about for the next episode, Robert, we do the Parkview Music Club's nostalgic tribute to Batman 66, Batman: The Scheme is Sound.
I think that's a good idea. And It'll be interesting to see what their production values are like and the story and whatnot. And I took a little peek at it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I think so. Absolutely. And I think, like Axel Braun's, there is a lot of love in this production for Batman 66.
Yeah. And above all else, I mean, that's what I'm really looking for, is how much of a fan, was put behind a lot of these productions, no matter what it is. It's not a cash grab. It's not just a cheap ripoff. It's like, okay, we really appreciate what they did, and we're going to try to show them the best, production that we can based on them.
Right. Exactly. So that'll be coming along in the feed at some point shortly. I mean, that's the other thing, too. Now we've got, getting back to Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, I'm not even sure what's going to come in the next 2 weeks for the next episode, because I haven't mapped out how I'm going to lay all these out yet, because I haven't recorded them all. But there will be an Electro Woman and Dyna Girl episode. There will be a Monster Squad episode. There will be another episode of Dan and I looking at the Batman 66 comics, all coming down the line here. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed on iTunes, Spotify. We're on Spotify now. Any of the great podcasting catching places, we're there. So you can definitely get a hold of Batcave that way. And of course, make sure you're following us on Facebook and visiting us at thebatcavepodcast.com. So, Robert, once again, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, John, and thank you, citizens.
And until next time, citizens, take care, everybody. Thanks for listening, chums. I don't have a bat phone, but you can contact the Batcave Podcast through its Facebook page, Twitter, email at thebatcavepodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to the podcast via Libsyn.com. That's LIBSYN.com. Or through iTunes. The Batcave Podcast is part of a series of pop culture podcasts from the Chronic Rift Network. Find them at chronicrift.com. So until next time, citizens, same bat time, same Batcave Podcast.